You've spent 2 modules building evaluation fluency at ACC and PCC level, 18 behavioral statements at ACC, 37 markers at PCC, 2 complete evaluation frameworks with different scales, different thresholds, different demands on your professional judgment. Module 9 takes you to the top of the system. MCC bars. The evaluation of artistry, coaching so integrated into the coach's way of being that the method underneath becomes invisible. Everything you've built in Module 7 and 8 is the foundation for what comes next. You are not starting over. At ACC, the central question was straightforward. Is this behavior present? You listened for whether the coach demonstrated a specific action at a specific moment in the session. At PCC, the question shifted. Is this behavior deep and consistent? You listened for patterns, for integration, for how well the coach wove competencies into their natural practice across the entire recording. At MCC, the question shifts again. Is the coaching so integrated into the coach's way of being that the methodology disappears? The behaviors may look similar on paper. The execution is unmistakable when you hear it. Look at the comparison on screen. ACC bars, 18 statements, 4-point numerical scale, scoring algorithm with a 2.8 threshold, clear arithmetic, PCC markers, 37 indicators, qualitative assessment, professional judgment about depth and consistency with no formula to fall back on. MCC bars, 21 statements, 5-point qualitative scale, no algorithm, fewer items than PCC, but a higher bar per statement. And notice the C1 row. MCC adds a disqualification gate that can invalidate an entire recording. We'll come back to that. PCC's 37 markers trace the detailed shape of competent depth. You needed that granularity to distinguish good coaching from deep coaching, to separate occasional demonstration from consistent integration. At MCC, those distinctions collapse. The coach who demonstrates MCC level listening isn't doing 7 separately identifiable things. They're listening holistically, and the separate components have merged into an integrated practice that doesn't need itemization. 21 statements is not a reduction in rigor. It's a recognition that at mastery level, fewer anchors with higher expectations tells you more than an exhaustive catalog of behaviors. The 5-point scale adds a tier that barely existed at ACC, exceeds the standard. At ACC, almost no one exceeds. Candidates are either demonstrating the fundamentals or they're not. The evaluation conversation lived between does not meet and meets. At MCC, the conversation between meets and exceeds is the evaluation. Meets at MCC already describes mastery level coaching. Consistent, customized, effortless. Exceeds describes coaching that is spontaneous, fluid, natural throughout. That distinction between mastery and artistry is what makes MCC evaluation the most demanding analytical task in the credentialing system. The descriptor language for exceeds at MCC reads completely, effortlessly, consistently, spontaneous and fluid, natural throughout. A coach who demonstrates a competency effortlessly, that's the competency living in the coach's body, in their relational instincts, so deeply embedded it no longer requires conscious effort or deliberate selection. When coaching reaches that level, it looks simple. The simplicity is the mastery. Your job as an evaluator is to see through the apparent simplicity to the artistry underneath, to recognize that what looks easy is actually the most demanding form of professional practice. Ethics remains binary at MCC, just as it was at ACC and PCC. Observed or not observed, no partial credit. But MCC adds the disqualification gate. If assessors determine the coach is primarily in consulting mode or therapeutic mode, the entire recording can be disqualified. Not rated low on C1, disqualified entirely. That's a consequence that doesn't exist at ACC or PCC. C2, coaching mindset, continues through the credentialing exam, not session observation. The same 11 proxy markers from PCC serve as indirect C2 evidence at MCC as well. These three evaluator considerations are genuinely new to MCC. ACC and PCC evaluation didn't require them. First, extent of demonstration, how fully the behavior appears across the session. Second, extent of artistry, is the response creative, fluid, skillful, impactful? Third, extent of uniqueness, is this distinctly this coach's way of working in genuine service of this specific client in this specific moment? That third consideration is remarkable. It means MCC evaluation asks whether the coaching carried the coach's authentic professional identity. No other credentialing level asks that question. It adds a dimension that transforms what you're evaluating. The consolidation is clearest in C6 and C7. PCC had 7 C6 markers for listening. MCC has 3. PCC had 8 C7 markers for evoking awareness. MCC has 3. Not because MCC cares less about listening and awareness, because at MCC level, those 7 or 8 separate elements have fused into a single holistic practice. The coach who listens at MCC level isn't doing 7 separate things. They're doing one integrated thing that encompasses all 7. The consolidation reflects integration, and integration is the hallmark of mastery level practice. Module 7 built your ACC bars fluency, the precision instrument for evaluating fundamentals. Module 8 extended that to PCC markers, the pattern level evaluation of depth and consistency. Module 9 extends to the final level, MCC bars, the artistry threshold, the 21 behavioral statements, and the most demanding evaluation exercise in this program. In the next video, we walk through all 21 statements, competency by competency. Some will feel familiar from work you've already done. The difference is the threshold each one demands.